Just check it over real good, look at it real good, bring a friend. Sometimes an extra pair of eyes is helpful. Well, welcome back to the channel. This video I'd like to take some time to explain how to look at a used truck before you buy it. I've bought a few used trucks. This is number 5 that I've had, and there's certain things you want to look at before you buy one. So let's get right into it. So I'm going to use this truck as an example. This is my 87 Peterbilt 379. I currently own this one. I'll just use it as kind of an example what to look at. So getting started, when you first get to the truck and kind of look at its general appearance, you know, to see whether it's bent, broke, if there's things missing or any of that stuff. You kind of want to just kind of walk around, look for stuff. So this truck's still a little bit dirty. I pressure washed it yesterday, so it needs to be brush washed, but it's winter time. So anyway, I always do a walk around, kind of check and see what looks, you know, if everything looks like it's in its proper place. Kind of look at the tires, just kind of all the major components. Everything kind of looks like it's where it needs to be, and you can kind of tell by the outside appearance of a truck if it's being taken care of. So that's kind of where I start. And then I'll go to the first major component of the truck. The big money is under the hood. So we'll lift the hood up, and then I'll start going over the engine. So this truck has the 3406 B cap motor in it. It's a C block, but it's a B. It's all B mechanical. So I start kind of looking over the engine, looking for anything missing, obviously, any major leaks. And sometimes you're gonna have small leaks. It just happens. These things tend to leak. But look at the steering components and check them. You know, you want to grab these and move them around. Anything that's loose or missing or worn is going to cost you money. So you know that going into a used truck, you're going to find some stuff. But I'd start at the engine and check all the fluids, you know, check everything, go over, kind of just pick it apart, look at the hoses, kind of look at the radiator, see what it looks like. And then this truck we replaced the front springs on, so that's all brand new, but always look at that. You can kind of tell if these are off center a little bit or something, they're wore. You can kind of see that in them. And you can look at the brakes, and yeah, I got a big old glob of grease there, but you can look at the brake pads or the shoes. And like I say, anything that's gonna need replaced is just money. So you know, if the truck is priced accordingly and you know it needs some work, that's one thing. But if it's priced like the thing is in mint condition and it's the owner's telling you it's throw your lunchbox in and go to work ready, just kind of remember that price reflects the condition of the truck. So the other thing is the batteries. There's 4 batteries in this battery box. I put brand new batteries in this truck, but you kind of want to see how old those are. So you might just pull the battery box cover off pretty easy. It's just got 2 little rubber holders. Just pop them off. That slides out. You can check the batteries out. Make sure all 4 of them are there. Sometimes guys will leave 2. It'll still start the truck. Not very awesome, but it'll do it. But you don't have all 4 batteries. So I kind of do with the hood up. I still do another walk around, same thing, kind of look at the brakes, tires, make sure nothing's leaking in the wheels area. And you can see the brake shoes here, kind of check all that, and look inside the drums on these older trucks. You can see if the wheel seal's leaking. Same thing with the rear ends. You can kind of do a quick look and see if there's something leaking, or so all that's, you know, it's all time and money. It's seals, it's gaskets, it's U-joints, it's whatever. So I just go around, look at all that stuff. So you want to look down in and see. I replaced a couple U-joints on this truck, but same thing, kind of look for any leaks out of the seals. And same thing on this side, drop axle stuff. Just kind of make sure it looks like everything's in place. And then I come around to this side of the motor. Same thing, you can pull the oil dipstick, check the oil, and I'll crawl up on top here and I'll look at the top. You can pull there's right here is the oil fill. It's easier to see from the top, so we'll climb up there. So that's where you fill the oil. You want to take these off and kind of check them, make sure there's no weird water there or smudge like chocolate milk looking stuff, because that means there's water in the engine. The antifreeze there, you check that. The AC pump on this truck's junk, so there's no belts on it. So the AC pump's definitely out. I've put belts on this truck. The other big thing here is this fan hub down in here. So if you look down inside, there's a clutch right here that runs this air fan. This fan spins free until air pulls it in tight, and then it runs on that clutch. And you want to look at that all the way around. The rebuild kit on that's like $350, and it takes a few hours to pull all that out, tear it apart, press the bearings in if you have a press, and rebuild all that. So that's stuff to think about. Just general overview of the motor. Just kind of make sure nothing major is leaking, and if it is, make sure the price of the truck reflects that repair. So filters, I like to look and see. I love it when people ride on them, because that tells you when the oil was changed last, or that filter was changed last. It gives you a mileage, and you can tell how often the oil gets changed, which is good. So then the next thing I like to do, I like to go underneath the truck. I'm not going to do that right now, but because it's out here in the muddy driveway. But I'll take a pair of coveralls with me when I go to look at a truck, and I'll take tools with me. So I'll go under there and I'll check all the gearboxes. I'll take the plug out on top, the fill plug, stick my finger in there. Hopefully there's oil. You can pull your finger out, look at the oil, see if it's clean or if it's chocolate milky looking. If it's chocolate milky looking, probably you're going to look at a set of bearings in that gearbox area, because I mean it's got a ton of water in it. And just look at everything you can look at. I mean, you want to do a detailed inspection of the truck, because like I say, everything that needs work is money. So I do that. I've even gone as far as greasing a truck while I was inspecting it, kind of to see if everything will take grease. You can tell if it's been kept up on maintenance wise, and that's how I usually catch anything on my own truck. Even every time I grease, you're under there looking at stuff, you're kind of checking everything out to make sure it's in good shape still. So I do that, but I would go under there and check the gearboxes, pull all the plugs on the gearboxes and check them, and obviously not the drain plug. That might really irritate the guy. But when I bought this truck, they let me climb all over it, they let me drive it. It was whatever I wanted to do. They were like, yeah, whatever you want. So I went all over it. I didn't grease this until after I bought it, but I did climb all over it. I checked the gearboxes and everything, and there's been stuff that I've replaced since I bought it that was stuff that was, I knew it had a few leaks. There's some leaks I've been working on. I knew it had those when I bought it, but the price reflected that. So this truck is an 87, so it's 37 years old. So there's gonna be some stuff, but the price reflected that. I didn't pay for a truck that was, a show truck ready to go and all that. It needed some things. So anyway, I like to climb all over it. Like I say, look for exhaust leaks, look for little stuff like that. I've got a little exhaust leak right here. Looks like that's pinched a little. It's not leaking horrible, but it does leave a soot trail. Kind of check all that stuff. Like I say, anything that's going to cost you money to repair or replace is money and time. The other thing you want to check is your hubs. So you want to look and make sure that's got oil in it. This one's, I've replaced some of that stuff, so it's all nice and new. You want to really look at the front tires. Your steer tires will tell you a lot about what's going on with the front end of this truck, alignment wise, or if the springs are bad or shocks are bad, you can start getting some weird wear on the tires. So I would come down and look across the plane here. These tires are obviously new, but kind of look across that, and that'll tell you a lot about the truck. So kind of show you what came off the truck. These tires came off the truck. These are the steers. They've got some rock damage to them. It was a log truck, so it was obviously off on the rock roads, but overall they're in pretty good shape. They got a little bit of shoulder wear, you know, it's a little funky, but they are Toyos, and Toyos never wear good for me anyway. No matter what truck I've had them on, they always wear weird. So anyway, just some things to look at and think about. You just want to check as much as possible. Obviously, you know, let the price, if the guy's got it priced like it's a show truck and you can throw your lunchbox in and hook onto a trailer and go to work, make sure it'll do that. You want that truck to be able to do that. If it's priced as a, hey, it needs a few things, it runs, drives, whatever, it's going to need this, that, or the other, like I say, make sure the price reflects that, because truck parts are not cheap. And unless you're a mechanic or have a shop or a place to work on it, or a really good buddy that likes you a lot and wants to work on it for free, it's expensive to get them fixed, and they're down for a while. Especially around here, shops are all busy and the trucks are just down for a while. If you take it in to get something done, it's a few days. Your truck might sit there. So the next thing I'd go to is the inside. You want to look at what's going on inside. My floor is a little bit dirty. I've been working the truck, but it's carpet, which I don't really like. But anyway, make sure the gauges work. Make sure the air switches work. The heater. The heater's a big one. Make sure it works. You kind of just want to go over everything and check it all. These seats, this one does have a wear spot in it right here. It's still a fairly comfortable seat, but they're upwards of up to a couple $1,000 to replace that seat. So that stuff just gets expensive, and it's just money. So anyway, that's kind of how I do it. I try to get as much information as I can on them. A lot of guys were required by DOT to keep records of what we do to these things, and they should have detailed records. Not all guys do very good at it, but they're supposed to have a record of the truck and the repairs. So I like to try to get that, or at least copies, so that when I go to work on it, I know what's been done. It also helps if you got to replace something, if there's a part number in there that's hard to get to, you can find it in the records, maybe save you some time. And then after I check all the mechanical stuff, you want to fire it up. You kind of want to look at your blow-by. This one, the blow-by tube comes down right here, and it goes down, basically blows right onto the exhaust, which is probably not the best place, but whatever. So you want to look at that while the motor's running, make sure there's not a bunch of blow-by. You can pop that oil fill cap off that we had off earlier. Make sure you're not getting a bunch of pressure out of the head. I just put a new somebody's cat. Anyway, I just put a new crankcase breather on mine. I've got a few oil leaks. I'm kind of thinking it might have been part of the problem, but what happened to that cat? But he wasn't having a good day. But anyway, yeah, you get all that checked. kind of look at what's going on with the engine. Make sure the antifreeze is green or red, whichever color it's got. It's not milky or anything. Make sure the oil looks nice. I mean, it can be black. Just make sure it's not milky colored or like super thin, because then the diesel fuel's getting in there. Same thing with the fuel tanks. If you can look in the tank and look at the diesel, I've had the diesel be cloudy and it was swapping antifreeze into the diesel tank. Well, it was an injector seal, but there was diesel going into the radiator. So where I found it was, I popped the cap, because I always look at my water almost every morning. Popped the cap and there was black on top of the water. I was like, oh no. So I took it into CAT and they said, I bet your fuel's cloudy. So we looked at the fuel, sure enough it was. So it was swapping water and diesel back and forth, and it just happened to be some stuff in an injector was bad. So kind of want to look at all that stuff. Make sure everything's plumb like it should be, tight. I mean, you can tell pretty quick when a truck's been taken care of. Wiring, another thing, because it can be a super big hassle, is the wiring, especially on an older truck. This truck, you know, stuff's been rewired a lot because it's older. It's been a log truck, so it's had a lot of chafing over its years, and there's just a lot of stuff that's been fixed. And most of it, for the most part, is in pretty decent shape. Everything seems to still work, so we'll go with that. But you know, there's guys that do good wiring and there's guys that do hack wiring. So if you see stuff twisted together and black taped and not butt connected right, then yeah, they hacked it. So everything on this truck has butt connectors on it. It's been cut into for whatever reason at some point in its life, but it's connected good. It's a solid connection, so it's not shorting out on you. The other thing, like I said before, when you go around these rear ends and stuff, look at all the bushings. Like I said, everything costs money. So like these bushings, these torque rod bushings, they seem to wear pretty easy. I do have a brand new set of torque rods for this on the top. I'm going to put those on. The shocks on this truck need replaced. It's just little stuff like that you got to go through and fix to make it right. But anyway, that's kind of my overview. Make sure the paperwork matches the truck. When you see the title or whatever it is, make sure the VIN number matches. Some of these trucks, they get wrecked or something happens, they swap the cab, throw another truck together and keep running. Well, that stuff may not all match. So that's something to look at. Get whatever paperwork you can get, even if it's just a dumb receipt for a light. Any paperwork that's ever been done to this thing is nice to have. It's good to have that record, and that just helps you go back and see what's been done. So I know there's a lot of other things a guy can look at. I'd like, you know, if you guys can comment and tell me what you look at or how you look at stuff. That's how I like to look at them. I like to crawl all over them, up, down, underneath, inside, and do everything I can. Drive it, get it warm, make sure everything's functioning like it should. All the Jake brakes are coming on. You know, the transmission feels good, doesn't make a bunch of noise. I'll lock the lockers, the interlock, all that stuff. I play with that stuff. I check like the drop axle, make sure everything's tight on it. Because say everything you got to fix later is just going to cost you time and money. So make sure the price of the truck reflects that, and you have the ability to either fix it yourself or pay to have somebody else fix it. Because when you go to run the thing, they got to be almost perfect. DOT is pretty strict on what happens with these trucks, and they got to stay in pretty good shape. So you don't want anything that they can get you on, basically, when you cross the scales. Something else to think of, I just thought of that just now, was the bolts in the frame. So this truck, when I got it, it had some extra holes in the frame that didn't have any bolts in them. So I bought a bunch of bolts and went through and put bolts. You can kind of see where I put bolts. Basically, they're just plugging holes. You're not supposed to have open holes in the frame. you know, if there's a drilled hole and there's nothing in it, like these don't matter, that's a cross member, but they don't want them in the frame rail for, I guess they think it'll break or whatever, but that seems to be a problem. So looks like I got 2 there I still have to fill up. But anyway, kind of look for that stuff. Just check it over real good, look at it real good, bring a friend. Sometimes an extra pair of eyes is helpful. I've gone and looked at trucks with a friend a few times, and they'll catch stuff that you don't see. Sometimes if it's a truck you really like, just because it's cool and it's something that's like near and dear to you, you want, man, I love that style truck, whatever, my dad had one or whatever it is, you get excited, you tend to gloss over things. So bring a buddy that's disconnected from that, and have him help you look over it, and he can point out stuff. I mean, even your wife, if she doesn't know anything about trucks, can point out, oh, that looks weird, or what is this, what's that do? And it kind of gets you in the groove of looking at it too. So anyway, hope that helps. Please comment if you have anything that you like to really look at, or you have a certain way to do it that'll help everybody out. And it's just good to really go over this stuff before you put money on it. So I appreciate you watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.